All right, before we get into this episode, I want to let you know about an exciting announcement. We will be running a major Black Friday sale on the entire Black with No Cream merch store, giving you 25% off for a limited time. That's right. Our hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, hats, mugs, they're all going to be 25% off. The sale will begin at 8 a.m. Pacific on Black Friday, November 29th, and it will last for 24 hours. Simply go to shop.bwnc.com and use code Black Friday when checking out. All right, let's get to today's episode. And we are back with another morning roast edition of the Black with No Cream podcast, where every Wednesday morning we deep dive into creative topics with the goal of giving you daily doses of motivation and inspiration. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World, and this is my beautiful co-host.
Oh, I'm beautiful. You hear that?
David Malave.
What's up, guys? Today's topic is all about preparing for 2020. So we're going to talk about how, setting resolutions, goals, manifesting what you want in life, ways that, at least we were talking about how I do it, but also how we plan to do it ourselves for Black with No Cream in 2020. So
yeah, I think just recently, the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at how we've done in 2019, and as we prepare to get into 2020, there's so many things that we're thinking about, and Dave had a lot of good points of ways to balance that and kind of focus on setting our goals. So we're gonna cover all that shit in this episode today. But if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, you're probably wondering,
what the fuck is Black with No Cream?
Great question. Black with No Cream is the illest educational resource for content creators fueled by caffeine. Or at least I take my coffee black with no cream, but you can drink or not drink whatever caffeine you fuck with and still be a part of our community. We have thousands of members from all around the world working together by sharing content, asking for feedback, passing tips and tricks along to one another with the goal of pushing each other to become the best motherfucking content creators on earth. And you can join our private group if you want to by going to bwnc.com/join. We would love to fucking have you. Please join. And without further ado, I bring to you this morning roast episode in the second most epic podcast intro ever created right motherfucking now. Welcome to the morning roast, a place where you will get the most info from a deep dive into the topics that really need life, with your host Ben and Dave coming to you live today. Grab your cup of joe and take some fucking notes, you bitch. All right, update. This Sunday, December 1st, we have a massive reveal of our final contest of 2019. We did a lot of contests this year. We did 4 or 5?
4.
Yeah, and they
this
all
is
are
our fifth.
This is our fifth contest, and I feel like we gotta go out with a bang. So on Sunday we drop our next interview with King Chip, aka Chip the Ripper, an ill rapper. You probably know him with his music with Kid Cudi. This dude kills it. Interview's dope. But at the beginning of it, we're gonna reveal what the contest is, all the details of how you can sign up and compete, due dates and all that stuff, including the prize. And the prize is big, and you're not gonna want to fucking miss out on this prize because it's in the form of cash, and it rhymes with $2,000. AKA the cash prize is $2,000. It's actually not a cash prize. We were trying to figure out what we wanted the prize to be, and we decided to get a gift card to B&H Photo, which is a site where you can buy a bunch of camera gear and shit like that. So we're giving you a gift card for there. Cat's out of the bag.
There it is, guys.
Yeah.
The surprise.
Yeah. I thought the rhyme thing would make it challenging to figure out what we were giving away. But $2,000 gift card, which is going to be sick. So anyway, this Sunday the 1st, make sure to sign up, listen and sign up and all that shit. Lastly, don't forget about our Black Friday sale. It's going live 8 a.m. on Black Friday, this Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And save 25%?
25% off all merch.
So you're saying that they can get this Black with No Cream mug for 25% off?
100%.
So you're saying that they can get this Black with No Cream hoodie for 25%?
Yeah, you decked out. Look at you,
so
bro.
you're saying that they can get this Black with No Cream hat right here? 25%?
That one exactly, actually.
So you're saying that you and I probably won't make any money off this deal?
We just want to get this merch into the hands of the people.
Yeah, I do. I really would like to just have more people rocking this shit. So definitely go cop that shit. So anyway, let's get to today's episode. Preparing for 2020. Here's the thing. Dave is, what's a good term for this? Analytical, or
he's smart. Dave is like really smart. And so what Dave was saying last year that we should do was when 2019 started, he's like, yo, we should like sit down and go through an outline and analyze like what we want our goals for this year for Black with No Cream to be. Like, I do this personally, blah, 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 blah. And we never got around to doing it. We kind of like set goals throughout the year, but it wasn't like, beginning of the year, these are what we hope to do. We hope to make money. We hope to have a successful podcast. We hope to get this many downloads on the podcast or whatever. Like, we didn't set out any of those things. And it's a bummer because we're almost at the end of the year. And you whipped out a book that he has here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. You whipped out this book where you had set personal goals for yourself in January. This is before you even moved out to LA. And I just think, like, I just already bought 2 new notebooks, so we could do this with Black with No Cream for 2020 and for myself. But I think that hearing you talk about it and you kind of defining certain things, because you've done research and you've kind of like, you know, listened to a different, what was it, podcast or read a book or some shit?
Yeah, I got put on this guy on YouTube who kind of like he has a course that I didn't take, but he has a course on, you know, journaling. You know what I mean? And that's like kind of what this is. But, you know, people think journaling might be like, you know, a diary where it's like, Monday I woke up and I ate this and I worked out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This is more like a super in-depth dive into like your life and your goals and what you want from the year. And of course, the new year is a great time to do it because it always feels like it's fresh. Like you have a new year to like really set a new path.
Right.
So I try to do this. It's been 2 years, but I try to do this in January early or towards the end of December, but usually, you know, New Year's is happening or whatever. And like really do like a whole analysis on my life, like in every aspect, you know what I mean? So like when it came to Black with No Cream, I wanted to do that with this, and it's awesome thinking about it now, because at the end of the year, when you look back on your year, you're like, are we successful? And if you don't have like metrics or like things that you set out to do to like evaluate your performance, right? And then you don't really know. And I feel like we can all get caught in like this, just like wading through, where you just kind of live and you work the next job and you work the next job, and you're not like working towards something, or you haven't really like affirmed to yourself that you're going to accomplish XYZ. Right. So that's what this is about. Yeah. But so should I just get into like what this is?
Well, so here's like for me, right? Every time I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get like my to-do list done this week or whatever. I'll pull out my notebook or whatever, and I'll start writing down all the things I need to get done that day. And then there's extra stuff on there that I'm writing down that's not realistic to get done in that day. So then I'm like flipping over, making another page that's like this week, and then nothing gets done that week, and then I'm like
this month. It's like
yeah, and it just drags on. There's all these pages. I'm really terrible at organizing it, and just how you were talking about, like you took like a course on journaling, which I feel like in itself is so key.
I didn't take a course.
You said he provides a course.
He provides a course,
right?
But so he has watch a couple YouTube videos
and get kind of an idea, right? But just how you have your book laid out, it's like your page is dedicated to certain things. You've literally like written out the page to have a descriptive, like analyzing or a descriptive layout that kind of makes sense and is realistic to achieve. Right. You know what I mean? Where some people just like sit here and be like, oh, I don't really know, or you're adding like 10,000 ideas or all this shit that's like kind of overcomplicates it. You, for some reason, your book looks uncomplicated. You know what I'm saying?
So like the way that, so like I'll just explain it, so because people can't be here to see it or whatever. Right. So that like, and we'll use this as a base point to actually talk about like just bigger picture stuff. But the journal is basically like, I open it up, and then the first 2 pages are like quotes that are really sticking with me in terms of like what I want to be achieving, or like the mindset I want to be in for the year. And I kind of like set a motto for the year. And like the quotes and the different words on those first 2 pages kind of like set the tone. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then, you know, this year I had a bunch of different like mindsets I wanted to be in, and all those quotes are there. And then let me look at this.
Maybe we can take pictures of this shit and have Darren put it on top of the
So then, you know, you get into it, and then basically the simplest thing to do is you like separating your life into like different categories, right? So it's like you said, organizing it is key to goals, because you could write down a million things, but it's not going to do anything to you unless it's like organized. So you start off with like, okay, I have personal, you know, I have creative goals, right? It's like, these are things I want to accomplish creatively. Right. These are things I want to accomplish financially. These are things I want to accomplish socially or health-wise. I had health goals in there, and you organize it like that. So now you're working within confines of like the categories of things you want to accomplish, and then you break it down. And I think, the most important thing is like, with goals, right? Like you want to be ambitious. Like there's a power in writing things down. So the big huge part of what I like about this type of process in the new year is like you are forcing yourself to write down something that maybe seems like it's kind of impossible, or not impossible, but it seems like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. But you have to like speak that. You, by writing it, you're like putting it double into existence, because now
Right.
you're saying, you need to say it, but you're like writing it on the board, and you're like, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
right? And the coolest thing about this, like we were talking about, is I don't really keep up with it as much as I would like to. I will definitely will next year, but it's really dope to look back and be like, okay, in January, like I said I wanted to do this, and I remember it feeling like that's kind of ambitious, and I look back and it's like, I did that, I
Right.
did that, but there's
Right.
also like 10, 15, 20 things that I didn't do.
Yeah.
But I evaluate myself and realize like, okay, those are still things that I was slacking on, you know?
Or maybe your interests have changed over the course of 365 days. You know what
Definitely. Like that's another thing. Like in January, you could think like at the end of 2020, I want to be doing this, and these are all the things I want to do. And then over the course of the year, your like path changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of like go back in and reevaluate, you know, because the hardest shit ever is everyone does this. Everyone sets a bunch of goals, resolutions, all this stuff in January, right? But then by May, June, July, it's like, everything's changed. Things have thrown you off path. Maybe things that you thought were going to happen weren't. So that
Maybe you
took things
got
off the
distracted
table.
and you need a reminder of like what your goals were. You know what I mean?
Or you need to refocus. Like, okay,
Yeah.
now I need to like reset my goals to like better, you know, depict where I'm going, you
Right.
know?
I love the fact that like you had written, like you had example, like there's on one page, it was like work, like move to LA. That was like one. And you also had a page that was like practices. Like I like when I was in school and I'd do like creative writing classes, and they would make you do these like exercises that really like open up your mind or get you to write something or tell a story from some other person's, you know, stuff that you wouldn't just normally do. It's like, hey, just try this. Try writing a sentence and put the word happy in it. And you're like, okay, happy, you know, or whatever. Like you write, it makes you truly exercise something. And one of the pages that you have was an exercise where you're like telling yourself that you will become XYZ, right?
Right.
What's the actual practice?
I think it's called the I am affirmation. So it's like
affirmation.
You basically, the whole concept of it is, you like, so for the way I used it was like in January, right? I was in San Antonio. I just got off tour. I was at my parents' place, and I was like still struggling with the concept of moving to LA, fully diving into a full-time career away from home,
Right.
all this stuff, right? And so it was like, all these goals were very big. And then I was literally, so the I am affirmation is like writing out who you want to be and what at the end of the year. But like, instead of saying like goals in the form of like, I want to be this, it's like, I am a full-time creative living in LA with my own apartment, you know,
Yeah.
with a full-time income from
Right.
my own, like stuff like that. Or like, I regularly work on major projects and do things that creatively fulfill me. Boom. Like I do this. And then I definitely believe, and this is, people can think differently, but I definitely 100% believe in like that type of mindset and like manifestation, especially where it's like, you know what I mean? Like if you follow through with this stuff, it's not one thing just to write it and let it go, but if you write it down, you speak it, you believe it, I tell it to you every day that I'm going to do this. I tell it to everyone else. That stuff happens.
Right.
If you have that type of mindset. So that type of energy, like when you're writing goals, it's like, you know what I mean? You could think something's ambitious, but you write it down and you say like, I'm going to do this. But then also you have the goal under the goal, which is like the halfway point of the big goal.
Right.
So you're like, I just need to get there. And then after that, it's just getting to the second one.
Right.
And the whole mindset throughout it of like, when you sit down, you have to like reflect on, what do I actually want? Right. And then believe that I can do it.
Right.
And then writing it down, and then the biggest part is like keeping it in front of your face too. Like,
Well, that's
like
what
you said.
I was gonna bring that up because you were saying, like, he pulled this book out of the dresser drawer or whatever, and then I was like, maybe it's something. It's like almost like something that's required to be in front of you on your desk or something. You're like, yeah, but I mean, at the beginning of the year, I was living on my homie's floor, so it's not like I was really checking in on it that often or whatever. And then you move and all this stuff. He's like, but ideally, like, I want this sitting on my desk, so every day it's right there and I can see it. And when we talk about Black Window Cream shit, it's like, I don't know how many times you've said this, where you're like, we just need to figure out what that is and then write it and literally put it on the wall. Like, it just needs to be right there in front of our faces so we see it every single day. And just like me, go back to, I mean, I've shared this before, but like going back to when I wanted to move here and I lived at my house, I had my office space set up in my room and I had a white dry erase board, and which I highly recommend over a black dry erase board, even though they look cool in your office. They are hard as fuck to write on and read. We're getting rid of that shit. And but anyway, I had my dry erase board, and I remember I wanted to move to LA, and there was like a certain amount of tools I wanted. I wanted a 5D Mark III, I wanted a fucking 14mm lens, I wanted a Ronin S and a drone, Phantom 2, whatever it was. And I had that shit written out forever, and slowly you get to cross that out, and there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Like, there's nothing more fulfilling for you today. You literally open up your book and check shit off because, oh, dope, I did do that. Like, I did do that. And that's like, that's the reward. That's called seeing progress. Like, there's so much about seeing analytics right now, and like, you're a YouTuber and you want to see your video and you want to see how it's performing, or you make a post on Instagram, you want to see how many likes it gets or whatever. Like, there's something fulfilling about seeing goals be reached, obviously.
But also written down and accomplished.
Yeah.
Like,
we do it every day. We don't need to do, we have Trello and shit, and we'll have everything in Trello boards, but we'll literally go and write it on our blackboard that's right here on the wall and go through. As soon as something's done, we like go look, oh, check that off, erase it.
You get a kick of writing it.
Yeah,
of Xing it out. You know what I mean?
You feel like you're progressing through the day, or you're progressing through the year. Like, that's the most rewarding fulfillment that you can get. And the other thing I was going to mention on top of that was being able to outline, like, for us, like you say, write it on the wall. And then you've been saying that lately, which kind of sucks because it's like in here, it's like we're always in here. There might be really personal goals that we have for our business and shit, and then you have random people walking in here, they see all this stuff. So it's might not be that like practical, but like at my house, on my mirror in my bathroom, it's my mirror, so I know I can mark it up and Lauren won't get pissed. But like, I took the dry erase marker and I like started just writing. I put my goal weight that I wanted to lose, because I'm trying to do that right now. And then I just every couple of days I'm hopping on the scale and I'm like, all right, cool. In the morning, like, what am I at? And I'm seeing the progression where it started at like 190 pounds and now I'm already down to like whatever, I don't know where I'm at, like 180. And I'm seeing it go towards my goal, and that shit is like super fulfilling. And then I'm also like, oh fuck, like I want to stick to my eating regimen. And then I might, some days I do it, and then all of a sudden at the end of the night I'm eating a fucking quesadilla and I'm like, god damn it. And I now just made a thing and wrote down every single day until the Christmas with boxes that I have to check if I follow through with eating what I set out to eat for that day, so I know that I followed my plan. And yesterday I ate everything, and then I go to the grocery store and I pick up fucking guac and chips, and then me and Lauren smash that shit when we're watching TV and drink some tequila. So I didn't check that shit off, right? Because that doesn't fucking count anymore. Like, I ruined it, and I know now that day is my fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that's like the power of it, is you want it to be reminding you. You know what I mean? I think that's it. Like, if you're setting out 2020, you're like, this is the year I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, right? If you just say it inside your head, like, that's the easiest shit to just let go of. Because you're the only person that has to be accountable, like, handle the guilt of it, which you can just toss it aside, right? But it's like another thing, not only to like write it up, and you have to stare it in the face. Like, when we write a to-do list, right? And if we leave and everything that we said we were gonna do is not done, we gotta feel like we're not productive.
Yeah,
and we're not being like
what'd you do today?
Yeah, like, what we just wasted all day today. You know what I mean? And we hold ourselves accountable for that. And I feel like you got to do it for yourself, but also speak it out. Another thing with that weight stuff is, like, with the goals, I feel like a super important thing is, like, let's say you're 250 pounds, right? And you want to be 180 or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you just say, my goal is to be 180 pounds, and that's going to take all year, like, when are you ever going to have those feelings of like small wins along the way, because your goal is so massive, right? As opposed to like what I love to do is, like, if your goal is to be 185 by the end of the year, then under it is like a little box and it says like 230, 210. And you're wanting to get to the next benchmark to get to the big goal. Cause like every big goal has a path to get there. Right. So it's like, you could say, like, I could say, I don't know, name a goal. You like
with weight loss?
Like, no, any goal, like any big goal, there's things you have to accomplish to get to that goal.
Just
and
like
if you don't outline
you
that,
wrote in your thing today, like, I want to chug a glass of water when I wake up in the morning, and then you're like, I haven't really been doing that. I'm like, you haven't been doing that? Out of all people, Dave chugs water. That's the motherfucking king of that shit. But you, or my brother, told me to do that shit when I wanted to kick my health into gear. He's like, start the day off by a whole glass of water, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I just like would forget, right? And then I was like, if I go to bed, I'll just fill up a whole thing of water and I barely drink it throughout the night. And when I wake up in the morning, I just chug that shit.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
That's like so that was like my path to get to chugging the water in the morning, just to start my day off with a full glass of water. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Like creating a path that's like, is that where you're going along the lines of? Like
Yeah.
finding a way to do it.
Right. Like, yeah, but also like the mental wins of it. Like, there's the many wins along the way that help you get to the big one, right? So like you're not gonna jump the whole fence off the jump, but you could just like setting many goals within the big goals help you get there, and also helps you visualize, because you're like, I want to be a film director one day, right?
Right.
Or I want to direct a film by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Let's say that was my goal.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's not just gonna happen.
Right.
So it's like, what are my goals? I got to do like 7 things to get there, and part of like what I love about the exercise of doing this, or whatever you want to do, vision board, put it on your wall, whatever, is like it forces you to sit there and literally like soak and self-reflect, like, what do I want to do and how do I get there? And then you have to like take all this stuff, instead of just keeping in your head, like put it somewhere so that you can always remind yourself like what you should be doing or want to be doing, you know?
What do you think you should do when, like, for example, my emails are disgusting? Because what I'll do is, if I get emails and I'm like, oh, this is kind of like something I want to check on later, or it's a message from someone that I can answer at a later point, or it's a fucking coupon or some shit, you know what I mean? Like I leave those things unread. So then eventually all of my 7 emails that I have like 50 unread messages in this one, 300 in this one. It gets overwhelming at some point. I just heard someone suggest that they go through and they just purge that shit. They'll just be like, fuck it. Like, if I haven't read it at this point, I'm going to start clean and just get rid of it and say, fuck it. Like, whatever opportunities there were, I should have checked it. But like, otherwise, obviously you need to dedicate like hours to just doing that shit. But sometimes that becomes overwhelming. So say my checklist is 5 things that I need to get done, or that are my goals to get there, and all of a sudden I add 10 more things over time, and then all of a sudden my list is like too daunting to even look at anymore, to the point where I'm like, fuck. And you say this all the time.
We do this every day.
Yeah, right?
We do this every day, where it's like, for example, let's just put it in the context of Black Window Cream, because people would understand. Like, we're 2 people trying to do everything, right? And Black Window Cream has like 10 arms, so it's like we could sit down and make a to-do list and be like, and sometimes Ben will be like, in the middle of us doing something, we'll start talking about something completely different that we need to do. And it's like, part of it is like categorizing and understanding, like, you have to prioritize, like, what is, if you have like, everyone has a million things to do, but you can only do a certain amount in a day, right? So the most productive thing is to figure out like, what are the 10 things that I could do today that is going to make me this day productive.
Right.
And we try to do that every day, where it's like, yeah, there's 500 million things to do, but what can we accomplish today that by the time we leave the office we feel accomplished?
Yeah.
And I feel like with the goals, it's like, you know, everyone has a million goals, but that's part of the process, is like honing in, like, what do you want, and then being like, and then figuring out like, what are the big things this year that I will accomplish by the end of the year, I'll feel fully fulfilled. You know what I mean? And then if you have a note sheet of like everything else, like things that you do want to accomplish that are on the side, but
yeah, I fucking love it, dude. Like I literally, we talked about it, I'm like, there's no reason I shouldn't be doing this at all. And I know that this is going to, like, seeing your book, pulling it out and be like, damn, that's fucking sick that you had all that shit from a year ago. I have no idea what I wanted to do a year ago. Like, I already forgot all this shit. Like, we've done so much shit. I don't know if it was on path with what I would have said I wanted to do, or if it's new shit, or if we accomplished all the things that we would have wanted to do. But I think it's so crucial to do this shit. And I don't know. I'm going to start for sure, because I already bought the 2 books, like, just so we could start with Black Window Cream. But I encourage everyone else to do it. I also would like to know from people that are listening in the comments, if you do practice shit like this at the top of the year and setting goals and finding ways to like organize your goals in a clean, formatted fashion, like, what are those ways? Because this can't be it's not the only way, obviously.
No.
There's so many different variations of what people do to do this. And I think that it'd be interesting to hear what people are saying, like what people's practice are, or what their goals are. Or if you haven't even thought about this shit, like, hopefully this is changing your method of how you're going to go into 2020. Because I don't know, just the way Dave describes it, or the way Dave analyzes it, is so crucial, because it gives you something to work towards. And it allows us to start thinking a little bit differently in the way we like plan shit. Like, especially on the short term side of things. Like lately we were sitting here and be like, all right, cool. Today is a day for us to analyze the podcast. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the way we do the beginning of the morning roast and the beginning of the interviews are now different. It's different because we sat down and we said, this is what we want to attack all day long or all week long is just podcast related shit. Let's create new content for the podcast. Let's do this, and this. Like we thought about all the ideas we could have had, put them on a list, prioritize that list, and then started attacking. And we got it done, which is the best, most fulfilling piece is we did it on a short-term base. So it's like something you could do, yes, in January 1 or whatever day you do your beginning of 2020 thing. But it's also something we should, as a unit, all Black with No Cream people should be doing throughout the year.
Yeah, it's a progression. It's a constant progression. That's what I was telling you is like, this is awesome, right? But this means nothing if I just like put it away in a drawer and be like, that's it.
Right.
It's like the constant evaluation of it. But also I feel like that's kind of what you said kind of encompasses the bigger picture, because who cares if it's a journal or if it's a note sheet or if it's in your phone or whatever. It's like the practice of, you know, like I said at the beginning, it's easy to just keep going and not really even analyze like how you're doing.
Right.
Like, what am I doing well? What am I doing poorly? What am I overachieving at? What am I underachieving at? Like, what direction am I going in?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, everywhere, I tell you this all the time, but I feel like the best way to go somewhere is being laser focused, right? So it's like, if, like I said, we could be half-assed at 20 things, or we could be like, let's accomplish these things, you know? That's really what it comes down to.
Well, and it's like us, like the other day, honestly, I wanted to bring the Xbox over here so we could fucking decompress at some points and play games or some shit. And then you guys were watching football too, and I brought it up too because I'm like, all right, maybe if we're watching fucking football and if I bring that game, because I figured out how to play fucking Apex on my computer, and that was a problem.
Right.
Because then I'm like playing with Adam, and I didn't leave here till like 2 a.m. I stayed an extra 2 hours, wasted time, and it's fun and shit, but then that becomes a distraction to being laser focused. You know what I mean? Like finding things that can cock block you from getting a certain shit done, eliminating those and finding a way to strive through it. Where if we come in and we have a list that we want to accomplish, and we're like, all right, let's get through it. And if we're sitting there and we fuck around on Instagram for an hour, or, you know, even if we have proper discussions that we might necessarily should do in that moment, it works in that time because we need to discuss things, but like we know that we're derailing ourselves from what our goals were for that day, and whether it benefits the overall move or it distracts it, either way it's pulling you away from what your intentional goal was. And I think that if you can find a way to have strength and endurance to get past being derailed, do whatever it takes to figure out that part for you, because that shit becomes, I guess, it's the enemy, right? Like being distracted can become the enemy. So
yeah, that makes
having
me,
your book in your drawer or whatever, like,
yeah, that actually gets me thinking. I want to say this one point, because I feel like it gets lost, but also you got to set, like, I feel like it's also important to set like personal fun goals too, like goal, like, because we can all talk and be like, you gotta like set your business goals, set your career goals, but it's also like
personal.
Like, what do you want to experience? Where do you want to go? Do you want to take a trip? What country do you want to visit? Do you want to take a road trip? Do you want to, you know, do something with your girlfriend? Do you want to like even take a weekend off and go hang out with your, like, go take a trip with your friends? Or I'm saying trips, but anything, like things that, because, you know, it's not only just for like I'm gonna keep myself in line and do the things I want to do. It's also like, you know, we're trying to live life, but you know what I mean? Time passes and it's 4 years from now, and you haven't experienced. You say all the time, oh, I want to go to Australia. Oh, I want to go to Japan. You know what I mean? All this stuff, but you're not going to do it unless you sit down and be like, this is the year I'm going to buy that flight to go this place, or I'm going to spend more time with my family. I want to call my parents twice a week.
right?
And like, but then write it down and keep up with it.
Yeah,
you know? I feel like
love that shit.
Part of staying on your goals, I feel like, is also, you know, like sometimes you need to leave the office and go have a pizza.
Facts.
And just kick it. And just kick it, right? But like part of being on top of the other shit is also allowing yourself to just like, don't beat yourself up if you're not like accomplishing shit, but having a guide to look back on and be like, I need to get back on track. The same way our to-do list is like, today we weren't that successful, we weren't that productive, but tomorrow we know that we need to kick it in over gear, you know?
When you okay, two things. One, I thought it was cool, and I think we talked about this on another morning roast, but it was cool seeing I think finding someone that will hold you accountable is so key. And I encourage anyone that's listening right now to at least find find another Black Window Cream listener of this fucking podcast to reach out to and make like your fucking buddy. What is it shit called? Like when you're supposed to go out in the dark at night and you bring a buddy. What's that shit called? Like they did it on a tour where like everyone had to like have a buddy when they go places.
Did they call it a name? I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, like buddy something. I can't remember what it's called. But what I'm saying is find someone that can hold you accountable. Like in our Discord with our Patreon community, I thought it was dope because we had one person in Patreon reach out. Or I don't know, maybe it was in January and everyone was talking about goals and shit, and someone said what their goal was.
A couple months ago.
Okay, so someone said what their goal was, and this other person was like, yo, I'll put it in my calendar to check in with you on that day that you just set on your goal to see if you did it. Like, I'll do that. And then months later, yo, it popped up on my calendar, did you do it? And I thought that was the illest shit ever, is to see someone hold someone else accountable. They don't know each other. They're just tied together through creativity and Black Window Cream. So what I would love to see, and maybe someone can start this in the Facebook group, someone can start this in the Discord, whatever it is to reach out and find some other creator that you guys can kind of create a tie and hold each other accountable. Maybe you guys link in on January 30th and say, all right, let's see what our goals were set for the year, blah, 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 blah. Go over that shit and then set another date to recap and do it in 5 months or 2 months or whatever, just to stay on top of each other. I think that shit's so key. We get it because we do it in here with each other every day. It's like what Dave was talking about is so true to do personal goals. And this is what I want to get to. The second thing is like, I want you to tell us at least like off top, like certain categories that everyone should mark down right now to like focus on per page and when they set their goals. But like personal goals, it's so good that you brought that up because I think a lot of people let it get away from them, and it's so easy. I mean, in my whole life, I've never gone on vacation myself. I've gone on family vacations when we were like, you know, younger. We would drive down to Florida and like go to Pensacola and shit like that and chill on the beach. But like since I've developed a career for myself and like all this shit, I've gone all over the world. It's just dope. Right. And that to me is like my own little, but that it's me working. Like my camera's bringing me there, right? I've never once been like, man, I deserve to go to fucking Turks and Caicos or some shit. Yeah. I don't really know much about where to go, but like I've never done it. And then just the other day, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to Hawaii. Never been to Hawaii. I'm going to fucking Hawaii, and me and Lauren are now like trying to pencil in a date. And then it's like, well, when should we go? Should we go like later in February? I'm like, fuck, I'd rather just do it now, so it's almost like out of the way and I don't ruin it with the possibility of like having to go tour or having to go on a job or whatever. But honestly, I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't give a fuck about anything else except for that. Like I need to do that for us, because if you put work first, you deteriorate all your relationships. On Christmas or for a holiday, it was like really important for me to go back to Iowa and not just be home for a week and a half. You know what I mean? Like we're going home the 19th and staying till the 6th. It's so fucking long. Like all my friends will be working and shit because they have real jobs and shit. It's like, but I need to go home because every time I get to the holiday, I'm like, oh, cool, we'll be back for like a week and a half. And then you're there and you've had to do all the family shit and you do all this stuff. And I don't even get to have like real conversations or hang out with my family or friends, like, because it just goes so by. And
do normal shit, just live.
Just to hang out, like go to a coffee shop and just chill on College Hill. Like I never get to go do that shit because there's never any time. That shit is so crucial, and that's another thing we all have to focus on for 2020.
Yeah, man.
But with
the
that being
Hawaii
said,
shit, you just got to book the flight. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Book it. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you're like, this year I'm going to take a trip, me and Lauren, for a fact, and it's like, it's like that goal matters so much.
Hell yeah,
as just as much as like you want to direct some shit. You know what I mean?
I want to go way more than I want to direct some shit.
Yeah.
Direct shit all the time. Fucking go on vacations.
Never. I was just saying like general.
Never. But anyway, so personal goals, relationship goals, friend goals, like those things are super crucial.
I'll just say what I put in here.
Yeah. What are all the different pages you have? Because I want to do this. And so Dave will list these off. And again, I really want Comment Gang to pull up on this one on YouTube. If you're listening to this on audio, go to YouTube and just log in and comment with us, because I want to hear, we need more. Like we need more from everybody so we can understand like what everyone else is doing. But these are Dave's different pages that he set for himself.
So there's a bunch of different pages. And I actually might put a link to like a video that I watched like on the topic. That's a good idea. In the description if people want to just like check out like the practice of it. But
it's a YouTube video, right?
Yeah, YouTube video that he does it every year. He explains like this thing that it's his like little program or whatever. Well, creative goals, right? So that's like, it's career, but also like things that I want to accomplish, you know what I mean? In creative. And I had financial goals, but I also had like an income roadmap. So it's like, how much money I wanted to be making every month, and like I was trying to like keep up with. Okay, in February I under earned, so I want to make sure I want to kick it over.
Right.
You know? And you could tell I didn't like, but I was keeping it in Excel. I didn't do it in the thing. And then I did healthy habits, and I did health and fitness goals. So those are like, you know, for example, like weightlifting. I wanted to weightlift this much. I wanted to be able to do X amount of push-ups. I wanted to, like, things I wanted to do consistently over weeks.
So
fitness. I even made like little check boxes for like going the amount of times in a week I wanted to go for every week in the year. Mm-hmm. And I kept up with that till like June, and I stopped.
Nice.
In terms of like keeping track of it.
Right.
This is something cool that I don't think people think about, is like learn goals. So it's like the same way you want to do stuff, like what do I want to learn? Right. You know what I mean? Like are there things that you've always wanted to learn that you haven't? Right. Like I want to take this course, I want to read this book, I want to learn about this that I haven't learned, especially like with creative stuff.
Darren, while you're listening to this, can you put I don't even know if he listens to them all the way through, but can you put these on text? Like we
can text them.
Yeah, let's put the text above.
And you got like personal and play goals, which is like, you know, like we talked the same stuff we talked about, like things personally, but also like with family and friends. Like, you know what I mean? One of them is I wanted to take a trip with my family, and we're hoping to do that in December. So I'll get that by the buzzer.
Didn't you just do one though? Didn't you guys just go somewhere?
A trip. I mean, we went to the beach in Texas, like 2 hours away.
Oh, okay. Trip for you, like road trip for them. You had to fly to Texas.
I guess for them, yeah. But like spend time with them, because it's like, especially now I'm gone, like, you know. So I don't know. If you got to find, that might be different for other people if they have like different.
Dude, like one thing for me, a goal is clear out my goddamn email list, clean up my computer. My downloads is disgusting. My desktop's disgusting. That shit is just like 2 hours, but I literally never have time for that. And then like business wise, like terrible at keeping track of all my shit, all my expenses, all this. Terrible. I am fucking awful. Yeah. Creating a goddamn QuickBooks account has been on my list forever.
2020 goal.
Following that Dave Ramsey shit, every dollar, whatever app, like doing all that shit, like understanding like so much minute shit that helps your business. Like there's so many different things I'm gonna put on that fucking list, but like being able to do it is one thing. Following through it is the next best thing ever, is if you can actually follow through, see progress, and make changes. But obviously creating insane goals is like going to fuck your shit up. Like creating stuff that's almost
man. I mean, you could say
you're gonna be a billionaire.
You could say, like, people walk around and they're like, I'm gonna be a millionaire at 27. Like, no, you aren't.
Well, maybe.
Like, but like, if
it's 26 and a half right now and you only make $50K a year, probably not.
Are you doing anything that's getting you to $1 million?
Exactly.
Because saying it's not gonna make a difference. No, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who's like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. It's like, okay, well, like,
what are you doing to get there?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
build that.
People who are millionaires are like making. You don't just like, unless you're winning the lottery, you're not gonna be a millionaire. So like, how are you gonna get to $1 million? You know?
Yeah. All right. Let's get to I want to get to the question of the day and the review where we give the sticker away. All right. Cool. So as you know, and before I say this shit, please hop in the comments, talk to us, people. We really appreciate when you guys do that. I think that other people appreciate when you guys do that, because we're not the only people with a brain. You all motherfuckers have a brain, so you guys can weigh in on this shit and be very credible in the same source. That's what Black Window Cream is all about. That's why I started that shit. People ask me questions. I might not know. But as you know, we always end our morning roast with the question of the day from our Patreon community. If you want to have a chance to have a question to answer on the podcast, sign up at jointhehomies.com and ask your question in our private Discord channel. The question of the day today actually comes from Nick.
Yeah, this is old.
Nick just asked a question. He said, how do you deal with winter depression when you were creating back home? Or what helped you find motivation during the winter months? That's a great question. Because I'm from Iowa, if you don't know. And it gets motherfucking freezing there, gloomy there. It's so cold in the winters. It's crazy. So yeah, it definitely sets you back. I've also read... I'm a person. I remember hearing a Macklemore interview at one point in time, and they were talking about when he was writing and recording The Heist. They were in the studio for like years, obviously, or whatever. Like they spent tons of time writing that music. But it was cool because they talked about writing it rains so much in Seattle, so it almost forces you to be in the studio versus like having a day to go golfing or go shoe hoops or fucking ride bikes or skate or whatever. It's raining, so it's like you're stuck with having to do indoor activities, which almost like inadvertently pushes you into being creative. And I love that. people hate rain. Like it rained yesterday. Everyone in LA probably hated it. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah,
Like,
you love it once in a blue moon, but would you like it 2
yeah,
weeks straight?
I was stoked every time I was in Iowa and it rained all the time, because then it just makes me feel okay to be in my man cave creating and not feel guilty that I'm outside enjoying something. Or it's like the mood of that unlocks endorphins in my brain to create. I don't understand how to explain it. For me, I love that shit. In the winter, the worst part is when it's like the worst part would be like waking up in bed and it's so cold in your house, even though you have the heat bumping and shit, that you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna sleep a little longer because you're in your blanket and you're warm. I mean, that happens too when I have the AC on. So it's like,
but like chemically, your brain produces less, endorphins when you're not getting exposed to the sun. So like
for sure,
it's like like your body actually has to deal with it. You know what I mean? So there's like,
yeah.
But also, yeah, that's interesting. For me, like if it was raining for 2 weeks straight, I would be miserable.
Yep.
Because like the sun is what makes me want to go out, makes me happy. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
When I if I'm skating to the gym and it's sunny outside, that makes me like get up and feel hyped about the day.
But I think it's like in the winter, it's a reality. If you're from the Midwest or if you're from a place that gets snowy as shit, that going into those months. So like we said right now, creating goals and things that you want to try to accomplish during those months that might normally be easier in the summer months or the fall or spring months. Set those goals going into that so you can try to have something to aim to do while you're there. Some businesses may not want to work with you because they would rather wait till it's nicer out if we're going to ask you to do photography of their business or something. That sucks, but maybe you could try to counterpitch them and be like, well, let me come shoot the inside of your business today. Like, we can always make that look great. It doesn't have to be nice outside. You know what I mean? Like, find new ways to be creative during those months, or new ways to get business, or new ways to excel in creativity, or use those months, honestly, when it's fucking cold and you don't want to go outside. Study, like spend that time studying. You know what I mean? If business is down, you feel emotionally drained from creativity, that's a great time to go to school. You know what I mean? Clocking in that way. I don't know if I answered that shit, but what do we do? Where's the fucking thing about the reviews?
Huh?
Where's our review thing?
I don't know. Did you find a review?
Yeah, I thought I had a good review. Oh, I sent it to Darren. So every Wednesday we do this thing where we read the fire ass reviews on our Apple Podcast page, and we have some great ones, everybody. But if you if you go to what's the shit called, Apple Podcasts, if you go on right now, hop on iTunes, whatever it is, and leave us a review, we really appreciate that, because it helps new creators find Black Widow Cream and pick up that whole steam of allowing people to know what this podcast is about. But thank everyone that's left a review. That's fucking awesome. This one comes from Billy Dan. The title of it says, "For sure life changing," and then the review is, "I have honestly loved listening to podcasts. The Danilo podcast in particular pushed me to create better and get in touch with people that is like-minded. They get real people and real creators that have so much practical and applicable knowledge that you wouldn't get in a classroom." True. I've learned much more about what I want to do from this podcast and group than I have in my studies recently. That's crazy. Not going to lie, it has for sure has changed my life. I found myself while listening, like ditto and changing my view on, maybe it was Danilo. I found myself listening to Danilo and changing my view of different ways to do things. Sorry I botched that shit, but thank you so much for leaving that review. Shoot us a DM, Billy Dan, on Instagram, so we can send you a pack of fucking stickers. You can't even get them on the web store anymore. But yeah, all right, cool. We appreciate you guys listening to this episode of The Morning Roast. Make sure to tune in and check out our latest podcast episode with, who do we drop on Sunday? Damn, my headphones are stuck. Who did we just drop? It's Wednesday.
Sunday?
It's Wednesday.
Chip.
No, what was last week's?
Last week's was Blonde Kid.
Oh yeah, Blonde Kid. Make sure to check out that one Blonde Kids interview. Fucking fire as shit. Great. Very, very, goddamn, there's so much information I get out of that episode. Alexa's going off with an alert. That's fucking swag. And stay tuned for this interview that we're dropping with King Chip this week, and when we announce that new contest where you're going to win a bunch of fucking bags. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Every Wednesday and Sunday, we drop a new episode. See you later. Shut up, Alexa. That's crazy. Why is she talking in the outro? The outro of the podcast. God damn. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. We'll see you in a few days, you bitch.